Well, good morning, everyone. And as I love to say, oh, how good it is to be here. Because isn't it great to be alive? I mean, to wake up and be alive and look around and say, oh, what a beautiful morning this truly is. And oh, what a beautiful day. And I just know that all love is coming my way. Because I know one thing. All I need to do is repeat to myself over and over. And you might join me with this. It's in your little affirmation card. My heart is filled with love. I am the love of God in expression as unique me. And sometimes I'll go on and say, my heart is filled with love and I am not irritable or critical. I am divinely irresistible. I am the love of God in expression. Because boy, oh boy, do you all ever get up some days and just feel like the wrong side of the bed and, something will happen, or you're just in a cranky mood, or you're having negative thoughts about a upcoming conversation, with someone, you're going back and forth, and it's all in our head, right? And I'll just say, what am I doing here? And I'll stop. And I'll say, my heart is filled with love. And I am not irritable or critical. I am divinely irresistible. I am the love of God in expression. Because isn't that truly who we are? No matter where you're at in your life, no matter what you've been through, no matter whether you think you're good enough or not, old enough, young enough, pretty enough, rich enough, smart enough, it matters not. Get ready for the love of your life. Get ready, because it is here and waiting for you, ready to burst forth from your heart, just like a seed, pushing up through all that manure and everything we pour over it in the spring, right? Pushing straight up through that, ready to shine in the sun and blossom, and then lend its fragrance to all who pass. Well, it is said that God is love, right? Right? Okay. Yes. So the conclusion would be then that love is God. Right. Simple, huh? Sometimes we make it hard. And where do they say that God is housed? In us, but they say that God is in the kingdom of heaven, right? And where is the kingdom of heaven? The kingdom of heaven is within you. So if we follow the bouncing ball and put all that together, then we know that each one of us are emanating presence of God, emanating presence of love. And the only thing that stands in our way of being the fullness of God's love in our life, expressing through the uniqueness that we are the obstacles that we place over our heart. They say, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he or she. Doesn't say anything about what we do in our head, does it? It's about what we do in our heart. So when we make the effort to become first aware that all of the greatness that life houses and all of the power of the universe is right at hand, right here, and that our heart, our love, is what propels that out into form, then guess what? It's time to get up and get to work. Because I don't know about you all, but for me, I can say I wasn't just born this way, but yes, I was. I was born this way, in the perfect image and likeness of my Creator, just as each of you were. But then something happened on the way. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that something that happened. Because I believe, as I talk to people all around, wherever I go, they'll sit and tell me their story. And usually it's one that is rather heartbreaking. And we all have our story, don't we? But most people don't go around sharing that story because they think that it is uniquely theirs. And that if someone only knew me, why, they wouldn't. So we put these faces on and we say our affirmations and we try to coat it over like a coat of white paint over rusted, cracked metal. Well, it doesn't work very well. So what we need to do is go inside and have our own personal change of heart. So today I'm going to share a little bit of my story with you. Lord knows y'all don't want to hear all of it. But basically, hopefully you can identify with it at some point. And I will just say this, if I can do it, you can do it. And I will stand and bear witness that it can be done. Because I can honestly say that most days all day long. I am a happy, zippity-doo-dah kind of girl, and I'm in love with life. And I wasn't always that way. I grew up, as Vicki said in the introduction, on a large farm here in the outskirts of Jefferson County. I was the 8th of 9 children, an extremely alcoholic father, and a mother who, coping with that, well, you can imagine what she might have been like, right? And within our household, there was lots of terror, there was lots of pain, misery, lots of abuse, every form of abuse that one could imagine without me having to actually name it. And so my little joyous soul, it got kind of beaten down, tamed down, until there was no joy left, and all I thought I was bad. Any of my joy was bad. Everything had to be contained. Beaten down, broken apart, don't move, post-traumatic stress disorder from all of it, everything. Now, I am not here to blame my parents. Everything is in divine order. If I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't have dug in the dirt like my little terrier dog does, going after everything to find that heart of God. So I say that's good. And I also want to say, we don't need to blame what happens to us. We don't need to blame it. Sometimes we do that, but if we blame it, we stay victim, don't we? All right? We can name it and say, these are the circumstances. We can name it objectively. Then we have an identification. Perhaps there is where I can look and dive deep to find out what the root cause is of all this pain that I have inside. And so these are some of the things I did, but it didn't just happen automatic. In 1984, I went to a Catholic church. I was born and raised Catholic, and I went on one of the obligatory holidays. It was Palm Sunday, and I had a vast, vast mystical experience that day, and it sent me back into church. And I remember one day, and still just I spent all of my 20s depressed, trying to overcome all this and not know how. And I walked in one day, and I went to dip my finger in that holy water fountain, and right next to it were some bookmarks. I thought, well, that's unusual. And so I picked it up and read it. And it said on that bookmark, "And you shall seek me and find me after you have searched for me with all your heart." That's out of Jeremiah. And I clutched it. And I believed it. And that started a path for me. That from that point until now, I climbed every mountain to immerse myself in God and find everything I possibly could find so that my heart could be cleansed. I worked and worked and worked. I did it all. I've been to Buddhist services. I've sat on vortices in Sedona. I've chanted ancient chants in Hawaiian. I have gone to Baptist churches. I've gone to everywhere. I did Silva mind control. I've done neurolinguistic programming and got master certified in that, and hypnosis. Everything I could do, all in search for God right inside of me so I could heal these wounds. And you know what happened? On the way, like I say, on the way to God, I thought that if I were pretty enough, if I were smart enough, if I were successful enough, if I were a good enough wife and a good enough mother to my stepchildren and a good enough daughter and a good enough sister and a doormat to everybody in the kingdom around me, then maybe just then I could get some love. And what happened was very odd. Not only did I not get the love I so desperately needed, not at all. I actually kind of got punished for it. I didn't understand that, but I do now. And so, one day, with just a teeny speck of self-love, and I mean if self-love was measured from the bottom of this floor to the top of this ceiling, I had that much. And based on that much self-love, I made what I call a blood covenant with God. Like Scarlett held up that turnip in Gone with the Wind. Remember that? As God is my witness. It was like that. And it was on September 25th of 1999, and I won't forget it. And I said, God, I will learn to love myself no matter what it takes. I don't care. If it takes me to the end of my life, I will learn. And God, I believe that heaven on earth is possible. I intend to live it and have it. And I intend to share it with someone else who knows it is real too. Oh, that just fueled me. And I said, yes. And 3 weeks later, I fell into an abyss that was so horrible, I can't even possibly imagine. I don't even want to explain it. I just kind of like don't even look back there. And I stayed in that for 6 years. And I did not think I was going to make it out of there. I was in more pain and misery than I'd ever been in my life, and I didn't understand. But I did know one thing. It had something to do with my quest, and I knew it. I used to call it God's little PhD training program, you know. They only pick the best and the brightest for the hardest lessons. But somehow I knew that out of this horrible situation, that something really good was going to come out of it. That's the only thing that kept me holding on. And I remember one day when I was in so much pain that I was begging God, crying, just begging God. And I just kept repeating, please help me save my soul. Please help me save my soul. Please help me save my soul. And I exhausted myself from crying, and I went to this deep, almost sleep, but not quite sleep. And in came this voice that said, just be love.